Okay, here we are. We're about 300 bucks Canadian later. My original block, the block and the crank were toast. It had spun the #1 rod journal, so I thought I picked up this block, short block, so crank, rods, pistons for 200 bucks. My plan was to use the crank out of this one, and I was going to reuse my original block. But once I started taking it apart, #1 main journal was spinning also, so this ended up being complete junk. So now what I did, I used the block that I had purchased, I used the crank, I put on my rods and the pistons with a deeper valve relief. I actually measured the weight of the piston and rod and wrist pin combo. It was identical to the earlier LC9 without the VVT, with a lot less piston dish or valve relief. Like it was identical weight, so whatever, threw that on that crank. Just mixing and matching, taking the best bearings out of whatever engine. What else did we do? I did new front seal, or new rear seal, new front seal, some head gaskets off Rock Auto, 42 bucks for the pair, Canadian. Man, Rock Auto's a hell of a deal. So I gotta put the heads on now. I did a quick little hone job on there just to scuff up the cylinder walls there a little bit. They were pretty white, pretty polished. I have a new valley plate that doesn't have the displacement on demand cylinders. It doesn't have the passageway for the oil. So I'm gonna put that on. I'm gonna have to get one of those things we plug into the OBD2 connector to disable the displacement on demand. I'm keeping the variable valve timing. Like, I'm just trying to spend the least amount of money possible. Where are we at? Yeah, so I gotta clean up the cylinder heads, throw them on, reusing the head bolts, reuse everything, and toss this thing back in. So I don't know, hasn't been too bad. What did I see that was interesting? This piston, something had gone through this one. So this wasn't the one that had issues, but something had gone through this engine before. That engine, because that's the piston out of that engine. I cleaned up all the pistons, all the rings, got out the oil rings moving again. Everything was all seized. I don't know, just kind of went through the whole thing, cleaned it up. Hoping to get her back together this weekend. Throw it back in that Suburban and fire it up and see what we got.